in the horror genre. I'm your host, Nicole, and it's time to share another dark tale.
Hello, friends and weirdos, and welcome back to another installment in the Fundamental Frights series. Tonight, we're going to be talking about It Follows from 2014, and I have a first-time guest on, a very good friend of the show, Hydraberg from A Cut Above. Welcome, Hydraberg.
Hello, Nicole. Thank you for having me. This is exciting.
Yeah, I know. We've podcasted so much together. It feels like old hat, but you're going to be brand new for my audience. So please tell the folks a little bit about you and about your show.
I'm 1/3 of a hosting trio on A Cut Above Horror Review. It's a horror movie review show. John, Jacqueline, and myself rate and review horror movies. We have different themes sometimes, and we run the gamut from anywhere from so bad it's good to really highbrow horror. We have you on for a lot of it because you're a good friend and just a great host and easily plugged into any episode if we need you. And we like having other hosts on too, like friends of the show. It's a great way to make friends, and if you listen to us, it'll feel like you're with friends.
I totally agree. And I appreciate you guys so much. John always calls me the fourth member of your show. And I really do feel like that. Like, I'm happy to just jump on.
Like, you could join us if you ever want to.
Well, you know, if I ever roll up the sidewalks here at Light and Shadow, I might just jump on your pod. Because, I mean, I do feel like I don't even have to, like, rewatch movies to be on with you guys. Like, I know you got it covered. You make me feel right at home. But I'm so glad because Jacqueline's been on a few times because, of course, I love to have female guests on. It's one of the things that's really important to me. So I do tend to have more women on than men. And so Jacqueline's been on a lot, and she and I always have a great time. But I definitely want to get all you guys on the show because we're just one big happy family, and it's really fun when we get to show up on each other's shows. So thanks again for coming.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me.
So we're going to be talking about It Follows, and that movie was your choice. But before we dig into It Follows, I want to talk just a little bit about your horror background. Some of these questions I know the answers to maybe, but others I don't. Because, you know, we don't always as horror fans sit around and sort of talk about the basics of how we got into the genre. And I think that's super interesting. So how long have you been a horror fan? And what is the first horror movie you remember seeing?
So I'm 45 now, and I remember around the age of 5 or 6 watching horror movies.
Wow, same.
I had a babysitter who was like my next door neighbor.
Yeah.
Her name was Erica, and we used to rent movies a lot. The 7-Eleven, which is like a convenience store, had like a movie section that you could rent VHS when you walked in the front, and I would pick movies from there. And I remember Night of the Creeps being one of the first films that really gave me nightmares. And I remember as a child, I was way too young to watch it, and she watched it with me. And just, it's such a great film as a horror fan now, because we've covered it on The Cut Above. But as a kid, it just creeped me out, the slugs and the zombies. And
so when you said it gave you nightmares, were you like, oh, I don't want to watch it again? Or were you like, oh, I totally want to watch it again?
Well, I wanted to watch more films of that nature, but I was kind of scared of that one because it did give me nightmares. So for a while, that one kind of stayed like, ooh, taboo. Like I remember that film a lot, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm ready to watch it again. And then I cracked it later and was like, oh, this isn't as bad as I remember. Yeah. But I was older and more seasoned at that point as a horror fan. So
the reason I asked that question is because I did an episode on Nightmare on Elm Street couple months ago, and like Freddy scared me to death and always gave me nightmares, but that like didn't deter me. I still wanted to always like see more, and I feel like as horror fans that is a weird sort of like we're sort of repulsed but also intrigued by the stuff that scares us, you know.
Freddy is one of those films as well. That's the most mainstream film I remember getting into. But Night of the Creeps stood out, I think, as a even earlier memory. And then The Exorcist when I was about 10 scared the crap out of me. Yeah.
You saw The Exorcist when you were 10?
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't see it until I think I was 14 or 15, and I was not prepared.
I was like 10 or 11. They're probably going on 11, but still, yeah. I was checking the shower every time I went in the bathroom. Like, I don't know why. There's no scene in that movie where that even happens. But I was just so spooked that of any negative space that I couldn't see what was going on behind anything. I just like, there's the devil's behind there or something. I don't know.
The devil's behind the shower curtain.
Her chapped lips. Regan's chapped lips.
Yeah. There's lots of just like uncomfortable body stuff happening in that movie.
As a child, too.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because Reagan's a child. And so it's just, it feels very like this could happen to me type situation. Ugh. Yeah. So do you have a very favorite horror movie or a favorite type of horror movie?
Well, we covered favorites on Cut Above recently leading up to episode 200. And I picked The Thing as that's like my go-to.
Man, what a great choice.
It's monumental. I think it's foundational for me. It's just like a testament to like what great horror can be. It's got all these different elements to it. And it's, it could have been a horrible movie, but it came out like perfect, honestly, even though it did bad originally. Yeah. So that's like my go-to. But I like Alien a lot. I don't know. Evil Dead's just a great classic, that I got into later on as a horror fan.
I was going to say Evil Dead is one of those that I didn't see it for a long time. I think I saw it in college or something. And yeah, that movie it's kind of its own thing. And I think just the sort of slapdash way they made it, where you can see the seams, but it's all very kind of endearing anyway. I think that's probably what makes that movie special is you're like, oh, like friends, like normal people made this movie. Like maybe I could make this movie,
Absolutely. You could see the love put into it. If I had to pick a genre that I gravitate towards, I mean, I like them all, but I like supernatural stuff like this and like ghost story type stuff when it's done well. For some reason, because I kind of believe those things in real life might be a real thing. So maybe there's a real life fear that's connected to that or something.
Have you ever had a real life ghostly encounter?
Not like a haunting that I could speak on, but I know of like things happening and I've been aware of things. I felt like after my mother passed away, I got an apartment in my friend's basement and they had my mother's prayer card on their refrigerator. Right. And I was downstairs doing something with my buddy and I was using their stove or something, their air fryer or something like that to make wings. And so I went upstairs and as I went upstairs, it was a tumultuous time in my life. I had just moved out and I moved into my own place and, I was grieving. And then like nobody was home upstairs and my mom's prayer card was just on the ground, face up, like weird, like as if I just took it as a message. Like it just signified to me like there's another plane of existence or something.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask is like, was it like a comfort to you?
It was actually. I felt like it was a message to tell me, like, I know you're going through new things or things are happening and we're not there, but you're doing well, or like we're here, something like that. I don't know.
I love that. That was like a nice experience, not a scary experience. You know.
My mother believed in that stuff, and she said she had a spirit in their house before I was born, when my brother was a child.
Spooky.
Yeah. Yeah. She's the one who got me into horror.
Really?
Yeah.
You hear that a lot. I mean, everybody that's listened to this show knows that my mom is the one who got me into it. And as I've shared that over the years, I've discovered a lot of people say that their mom or their grandma
sister
or their irresponsible babysitter,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So that's kind of an interesting thing because you just don't think about like moms as being the ones to introduce us to scary things. But I love that that's the case.
I do too.
Yeah. All right. So moving on to It Follows. Let's talk a little bit let's do some spoiler-free background on this movie. So when did you first see it and why did you choose it for this series?
I want to say I saw this in like 2015, I think, on digital. I rented it. I had heard about it.
Mm-hmm.
I had just started hearing. I think I joined a horror group or something. I don't remember, but I just remember hearing about it somewhere, and I was like, all right, I want to check this film out. I like horror. I've grown up with horror, but I've never like just watched horror. Like I watch a lot more horror now than I used to, and I watch a lot more. I'm open-minded to a lot more horror. Like I want to absorb more of it, even if it's bad sometimes. So I'm not like that with other genres. And this is around this time, like I was just kind of seeking stuff out, and I found It Follows, and it just hit me. It resonated with me on a level where it felt like new. And I was like, wow, this is new horror. Like this is good horror, new horror. But it drew me back to like renting movies from the video store. It felt like one of those, because of the soundtrack and the whole like teenager vibe going on.
Yeah.
Kids handling it themselves kind of vibe. It reminded me of one of those kind of scary films you'd watch as a kid and you'd rent. And I was just like, wow, this movie is hitting on so many different levels. It's giving me nostalgia in a way, even though it's new. And it brought something new kind of to that haunted vibe as well, with the message too. So I was like, wow, horror's got something to say right now. There's good stuff going on, and there's good art here. And I kind of got drawn back into horror because of that. I watched The Babadook after. And because of that, I wanted to hear people's opinions. A lot of my friends in real life, they're not horror fans, only a few. So I kind of wanted to seek out opinions. And because of that, I found Straight Chillin'. And I heard their episode, and then I kind of went back to their episodes for, I think, like I watched not Glass, Split, I think, and they had a Split episode discussion, and I ended up checking them out again. And then, so because of this movie, I found them, and then I found their community, you know, and that drew me to podcasting. Eventually, meeting Jacqueline and John, starting a cut above, Cinemigos, my other show, and meeting you and all these friends.
And now here you are.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not a building block since I was like 8 years old. Like I thought about picking like, oh, well, I like this movie, and that kind of got me into horror. But I'm like, really, this movie set me on a track that's changed my life. Yeah. So to me, it's interesting and foundational.
It's like a first domino in a series of really important things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I am glad you picked this because, you know, when I started this series, like even the name Fundamental Frights, if I didn't explain more about it, you might think that we're talking about like the building blocks of horror, like required viewing of horror. And that's not really what I wanted to do. I was like, you know, you can go find that a bunch of different places. I want to just hear random stuff that people have to bring to the table because it's important to them. And so I would love to talk about something from the 70s or the 80s. Like that would be fun. But this is different. And I haven't, you know, I feel like I haven't talked about a lot from this like 2010s time period. Strangely enough, last month's episode, Sinister, came out in 2012, 2013. So this is right around the same time. So I do kind of love that we're hitting this time period that to you and I, you're a little older than me, but like to us feels very new and like fresh still.
Yep.
When I have a tendency to sort of go farther back than that, I think a lot of times. So that's one reason why I'm glad you brought this movie. The second reason why I'm glad you brought this movie is because I saw it, same as you, I think probably just like rented it when it first came out. And it had just been hyped. And I kept hearing, this is the best movie of the decade. This is the scariest movie I've ever seen. And I've, of course, since learned, don't ever buy into that. But at the time, I was very like starry-eyed and like, oh my gosh, this movie's going to be amazing. And I watched it and was just totally let down by it. Yeah. And it's not that I didn't like it. It's just I expected it to totally blow my socks off. And I left it feeling like that was a decent movie. And so I was like irritated because it didn't live up to my expectations. So it did teach me an important lesson, one that I have taken to heart. And now I think you and I are sort of similar in this vein where I don't even want to see a trailer, you know, like maybe a teaser. Give me a taste, and then I will just wait until I show up at the theater and experience the movie, you know? So I have been meaning to revisit this movie for a long time, just without the weight of the expectations. And I was interested to see how it would hit me on maybe a little bit more of a pure watch. And so I was very excited to revisit it.
I used to daydream about being old enough to go on dates. I had this image of myself holding hands with a really cute guy, driving along some pretty road. It was never about going anywhere, really. It was having some sort of freedom, I guess.
Jay, you awake? You're not gonna believe me, and I need you to remember what I'm saying. This thing, it's gonna follow you. Somebody gave it to me, and I passed it to you. Wherever you are, it's somewhere walking straight for you. All you can do is pass it along to someone else.
I'm scared. I need to find him.
What did he really do to you?
Apparently, he used a fake name to rent a house in the city.
This isn't real, I swear to you, this is just some game. If it kills her, it gets me and goes straight down the line whoever started it. What exactly is supposed to be following you?
I don't know.
Something happened. It's not what she thinks, okay?
You don't believe me.
Mom?
No, it's me.
Everything's okay.
It could look like someone you know, or it could be a stranger in a crowd. Whatever helps it get close to you.
So at this point in the show, I usually give a plot synopsis, just a boring, straightforward, run-of-the-mill plot synopsis to remind everybody what the movie is about. But Hydraberg does this fun thing on A Cut Above where he does a plot summary, and it's called a reach around. And Hydraberg, I think that your reach around plot summary is the perfect thing for this movie. So you got it. Hit us with it.
All right. This one's an older one, so it's a shorter one. Date night's here. You're getting nervous. Anticipation causes goosebumps to the surface. Teenage hormones have done you a disservice. You pack protection, but it's worthless. Unless it's supernatural contraception. An entity who uses great deception. It moves for you in plain sight. And comes for you morning, noon, and night. And takes the shape of those you love. An STD that escapes the glove. Young love can be filled with such sorrow. If only Jay had chose to swallow, she'd never have known the terror that it follows. Yay.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing. So give me just, I've never heard you explain this. What led to you doing the reach arounds? Like, have you always liked to like write poetry and stuff? How did that come to be?
I mean, John, when we started the show, John was like, Jacqueline, can you do news? I'll do news. Jacqueline, can you do this? Can you host? And then he asked me if I can do a summary, of the movie synopsis. Mm-hmm. Basically just however I want and just in my own style. I think he just wanted me to give like some New York attitude or something to it. But then I ended up writing one that rhymed a little bit and they started, they liked it. And then people named it The Reach Around because I called it that. The first movie we covered was a anthology and they have a wraparound story usually. And I called it a reach around story.
Okay.
The first episode. And then people were like, oh, you should call your segment Hydraberg's Reach Around. So that's how that became. People in the Slack kind of said that formed. And then it became a rhyming thing. And then I started rhyming. And then I got better and better at it. I did rhyme a little bit. I explained it on an episode or two. I met a girl once who was into like writing rhymes, like hip hop stuff. Mm-hmm. And I was really into her. So because I was into her, I was into whatever the fuck she was into. And so to woo her, I started writing rhymes and stuff like that. So I think I had a little bit of a knack for it. But I hadn't done anything like that in a while. And then the podcast kind of brought it out again.
Yeah, well, it's definitely really unique because for me, like, I feel like you need that summary synopsis to ground it and to remind everybody this is what the story's about in case it's been a while since you've seen it. But it is kind of the driest part of the show. And I don't even enjoy editing that part of the show. I have to because I always stumble when I'm reading that much. But every single time I edit it, I'm like, this is not fun. So it's really cool that you found a way to make it original and fun and bring your personality to it. So thank you for sharing.
Thank you. It gives our show a little something different.
Yeah. So let's get into it. What do you want to talk about?
Well, I just love the opener, honestly. Like, I just love the art of it. I love the suburban nature to it. Seems tranquil at first, and then it just automatically, the film kind of jumps. We don't know what's going on. I remember my first viewing just being like, what's plaguing this girl, this young woman? Like, she's just panicking in the streets. We don't know what's going on. And then she's like doing circles and then runs back in the house, and the music kicks in. And from that moment, I think that's where I was just like really I remember being invested in this movie from this moment, and just kind of like, it's one of those watches where you just like stare at the TV for 2 hours, you know?
Yeah, I totally agree. And this is the type of sort of, I'll call it a cold open for lack of a better term, but it's the kind of thing that I really love. I mean, you learn everything you need to know in that, what is it, like maybe 2 minutes or something. And that image of her laying on the beach with her leg all broken is, I mean, such an enduring image. Like, it's such an image. And that's one thing I remember. I think I was watching on Shudder. They had like 101 scariest movie moments or something. And they talk about that scene. And I did not remember that scene, which is nuts to me. I'm like, how could I not have remembered that? Because I mean, it's so jarring. You're just like, what are we in for?
And you don't see anything. We don't see anything the whole time. We see her father. We see the call to her dad, and it's so endearing. Like, we don't know who she is, but I'm invested already in this character. And then, cut to her mangled, and we have no explanation on what happened. And that's our opener. Like,
yeah, it's great.
Yeah. And it's got that great synth like vibe right away. That score, so amazing.
Yeah, the vibes in this movie are good. Like, the vibes of this movie are really strong. Just the way, the visuals of it and the soundtrack, and also like, people have talked a lot about the sort of ambiguous time frame that we're in, and how it's like, it feels very familiar to our world, but it's not quite our world, because they seem like modern 2015 teenagers, but like, they don't have phones, and the fashion's a little off.
She's got that e-reader.
Yeah, then they're wearing shorts and coats, and I'm like, I don't understand that.
There's moments where it seems like summer, sometimes it seems like autumn, a little bit of spring. And
I think that's really smart. One, because it's world building and it's atmosphere. But two, you always feel just a little bit disoriented, I think, because of that.
Yeah. There's a lot of environmental storytelling in this movie. Like pictures on the wall that show, because the adults are not showcased ever in this movie.
No.
Even the mom's head is turned when she's having a glass of wine. I think the cop's face maybe you see later when they go to the cops, but that's about it. And there are pictures on the wall that later the it will take form of, which I think hits more when you see, if you notice that, you'll notice what it means to our protagonist later when we see the naked guy on the roof, and I think that's her grandfather or some shit like that. Like, I think that makes it even more insane, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's something that I didn't notice the first time, like the random people. Like you said, I didn't realize the first time I watched it that the guy, the older man following Jay, was like somebody from her family. So that definitely, gives it a bigger impact, I think.
And I believe if we allowed to skip ahead,
sure,
the final form that it takes is her father. And I think there was a relationship maybe between her father and her sister that maybe was, I don't know if he was abusive, or maybe the sister says, like, what does it look like right now? And she won't say in that moment. And I think his picture's in the house. So I don't know if there's like something with the dad, or he passed, or I don't know if there was like some kind of trauma involved with him when he was around. But I think the thing was taking it's her dad's form at that moment, because it's smart. It knows how to break you down.
Yeah. And I think too, you talked about the pictures on the wall, and we're talking about the weird time frame. I also think that I love the production design and like you've got at one point they're using a TV as a TV stand, like they're watching TV and it's on top
Who
of
hasn't
another
seen that
TV
in somebody's house?
Yeah. And there's a lot of just like sort of like granny bric-a-brac in there. Jay's got that old like flower lamp from the 70s. Yeah.
With the wicker on the fan.
Yeah. Like I love all of that. And like now, if somebody had that in their house, like you could see that in like a 35, 40-year-old's house, right? Because we like old stuff and we collect it from all time periods. But I think another thing that speaks to is that the parents sort of being absent and then the old like hand-me-downs happening. I think these kids are also, it's in Detroit and they are living in a suburb, but I think they're all living in like lower middle class. And you get this sense that everybody's just sort of like struggling. And that's probably why their parents aren't around a lot. These kids are just kind of on their own. And it seems like that's part of what's happening in this world too, is like they're sort of like caught in this almost like cycle. Because, you know, when you don't have a lot of resources and your parents aren't around, it's like, it's that how many, well, I don't know. I come from like a small town and it's easy to just get stuck in a small town and like not ever be able to get out of the small town. And so when after Jay and Hugh have sex and she's hanging out in his car and she's having that really beautiful reflection about like, oh, when I was young, I always thought about going on dates with my boyfriend. And
it's
like,
a great moment.
Yeah. And she's like, and I dreamed about like going away with my friends. And she said, now that we're here, where the hell do we go? And I love that.
That's the theme to the film, I think. You were asking me about the theme.
Yeah, I do want to talk about, and we can sprinkle that throughout. But, you know, this movie on its surface is about sex. And when I saw the trailers and stuff, I kept expecting it to be about like sex and the consequences of sex and maybe STDs and taking advantage of people. And that's kind of what I thought it was going to be about. And even the first time I watched it, I was like, very clearly, that's not what this movie is really about. So I want to hear your thoughts about the bigger meaning of this movie.
Well, it's passed through sex. You know, and that's a metaphor itself. I think it's like a loss of innocence is taken, you know, when you have sex, you reach a level of maturity, or at least you're supposed to be, right? So you're coming into adulthood. And when you come to adulthood, you start to question your life. What are you going to do? Who are you going to be? Things start approaching you in life. Life approaches you faster. Death approaches you faster. It approaches you, and that's what it sort of feels like. It's also tied to water a lot. There's a lot of themes of water in this movie, and there's a lot of theories around that too, about water being birth, or, you know, it's based around summertime a little bit, and our main protagonist loves being in the water. They use the water later to try to defeat it in a way, but yeah, I think it does kind of mean like death in a way, but not just death, but like just like your life in a way coming at you. Because this is an adolescent film. It's a kid on bikes kind of film. Yeah. It's sort of a coming of age horror film in a way.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's the same thing. That's what I was coming to this movie most with this time, is like, okay, now that I'm older and I've seen it once, like what do I think it's about? And I think definitely there's poetry in the movie that speaks to aging and time passing. And of course, anytime, you know, you hear a piece of literature in any movie, but specifically a horror movie, pay attention. They're telling you what it's about. So I definitely picked up on that this time. And I think too, one of the things I thought is, you know, we have sex for lots of reasons, but the main reason humanity has sex is to advance the race, procreate. You know, to advance the human race. And when you have children, you are the next in line to go. And so that's what really hit me, especially because my grandmother passed away in 2019, and she was sort of sick off and on for a couple of years, so it wasn't like a surprise really. And she got to die at home, so it was kind of a lovely thing, as lovely as that can be. You know, she was in her mid 80s. She lived a full life. But the moment that really got me is the day before she passed, we were over, and it was the last time we got to talk to her and everything. And my mom was holding her hand And all the women in my family, we have similar hands. Our hands look the same. And so I saw my mom holding my grandma's hand, and I just thought, oh my gosh, like now that my grandma is passing, next it's going to be me and my mom.
Yeah.
And so ever since then, I've looked at death and this sort of just life cycle, just the natural life cycle. And it doesn't have to be scary or bad, but that's what I thought of in this movie is, once you get older and you pass that childhood threshold, then you are the next in line, you know?
I never felt my mortality until my dad died.
Really?
Because he died suddenly. Yeah. And then my mom died like 4 months later in the same year. And I just, I was like, a whole part of me was gone. Like my childhood felt gone because they raised me. You know what I mean? So I was like, my parents are gone now. Like, who am I? Like, what does that mean? For me, I'm alone in a way. And, but at the same time, I was like, well, you know, I don't know. It's interesting the way you have to deal with it and you have to get through it. Yeah.
But, well, and the characters in this movie too are so young. I mean, they're like teenagers for sure, not young teenagers, but still, that's just not the kind of thing that when you're that young, I mean, you don't think about death, you know?
And definitely you feel closer to your own mortality then once you lose a parent, I think, you know?
Yeah.
But at least that's the natural stage of things. That's the way it's supposed to be. They're not supposed to lose you first, you know what I mean, as a child. So I just wish they had more life on there and for my parents, but as far as their age. But I think that's a beautiful sentiment, though. You're with your grandmother. Like, that was beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, like you said, too, loss of innocence, I think definitely is a great observation. Because more conversations that they have when they talk about, oh, do you remember our first kiss? And they talk about when they found like a bunch of nudie mags together when they were little kids and they didn't know what they were. So they were just laughing about it. You know, all those little observations are really great.
That's not stuff that happens anymore for kids. Like, you don't find bags of porn in the woods. But back in the day, you did because we didn't have the internet and you would find stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's funny that this film cues into that. This film's got good writing. In a way that it kind of places it in like it feels like late 80s in a way. But like you said, there's other technologies in place that eschew that. I like that it does that because then we don't focus on that so much. We're just focused on our characters and kind of the story, what's going on. That gives it this eerie state. The film has this aimless nature to it that kind of goes along with that. Like, I'm done with school. I'm in between. I just graduated. Maybe it's the last summer before going away to college, or it's the summer before going away to my final years of high school, which will be the final year with everybody. That kind of vibe of like, I don't know, end of summer, sort of depressional, but it's still nice. But it's also like you're coming down, like you're getting the scary Mondays about coming back to school.
It does. You do feel that this movie is like the end of something. This transitional time.
I think that's why I resonated to it so much, that 80s synth score and just I don't know, something about it.
Yeah, it definitely does have like a timelessness that I really appreciate. And you know, it's 10 years old now, and I think it still feels pretty fresh because of that.
I've seen it at least 5 times. Probably I want to say more maybe, but at least 5. I own it, so. You know what it reminded me of a little bit? The Entity, like with the score, the way it ramps up and gets really harsh at moments, like trying to like get you really excited or, you know, tense. I don't know if you've ever seen The Entity, but it has a score that,
you know, it's about it. I think I have seen The Entity. I think it's been a long time though. Is that the one?
I picked it. It was one of my Patreon picks for Straight Channel.
Okay, is that the one where she gets assaulted by a ghost or a demon?
Yeah, by a ghost. And it's very intense when the ghost is like assaulting her, much like this when it is getting closer to you.
Yeah, you can definitely tell that this guy grew up like watching all the same movies that we did.
Yeah, that's why I just came out of left field when I watched it, and I was just like, man, where's this been? Like, who made this? You know, I don't know. And then when people trash on it, I was like, I thought every horror fan should love this movie, but it's very divisive, like you said. And I think overhyping is part of it. I think people like me really enjoyed it and might have told people how much we enjoyed it. I enjoy it for certain reasons. There's a sense of dread and terror to it, but I also think there's a whimsical sort of nature of like kids doing like solving things on there. There's a Scooby-Doo kind of vibe to it.
Yeah, there is a little bit. The friend group is pretty interesting. I like the girl characters more than the guy characters, to be honest. Like Jay, and then her what's her friend's name?
Mora. Yara.
Yara.
That was it.
Yara, and then her sister is Kelly.
Like they look like they're fun to hang out with.
Yeah, like those three are just like, they're pretty chill. They like, I believe their relationship. They seem very like ride or die, you know, even though Jay is telling them this crazy thing. That's the great thing about these Kids on Bikes movies, right? Is like you tell your friends a crazy thing and they are willing to believe you. Or even if they don't believe you, they're willing to like go along and give you the benefit of the doubt. Yeah. And then when they see the thing, like when they at the beach, when they see her hair get pulled, then they're like, they're all in, you know, and they're willing to like go into danger with her. And I really do love that. And then the end, when they become super resourceful and they bring all the like appliances to the pool. Like I just love all of that sort of teenagers in chaos situation.
The way the film hits when they're going to the school to do that final act, and that's when the theme music really hits in hard.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 and they're breaking into the school together. And right before that, Yara talks about the story her mom told her about crossing the tracks and whatever.
Yes, like because you're like officially leaving the suburbs and like
Which
don't go
plays
into the city.
The theme you were talking about earlier.
Yep. It's like they're taking it upon themselves to like, go past the boundary that their parents have set for them. Yeah.
And the film settings change there because of that, you know, we go after, what's his name? Hugh? What was the guy who gives her the virus again?
Yes, Hugh.
Also known as Jeff, because that was his real name. I think Jeff was his real name, right?
Jeff.
Anyway, just because they go looking for him and they find that house that he was like stashed in for a while. Because he's been dealing with this for a while. Yeah.
Oh, that house is so creepy. And I think we maybe got a Candyman reference. So Yara is in the bathroom with the medicine cabinet. And Jay is on the other in the closet. And Yara accidentally pushes the medicine cabinet through to the other side. I was like, is that a Candyman reference? I want to believe it is.
Pull. That could be. Definitely a very subtle one. But if you know, you know. So everybody says this is an STD, like, oh, it's dumb, it's an STD or whatever. It's like, I don't have a problem with that, even if that's what they were going for. I always kind of looked at it also as like a chain letter, if you remember those, like, because you had to do a certain amount of those to get it away from you, supposedly the bad luck. And like, you got to send this to 10 people and then it won't bother you anymore. So it felt to me like if you have sex with this person, they have sex with this person, that person, you're furthering it further away from you. Yes, it travels like an STD in a way too, but I don't think that's really the.
Well, again, I think on the surface, you know, there are themes of sex in this movie, but I just don't think that's what it's about. So I don't think that it's just that easy. Just like, oh, it's just an STD. Like I think there's definitely more going on here.
I think sex is just an easy link for men and women, adolescents to have together, or something that they both share. Coming of age moment in their life
and I think also I'm not a person that needs to like have the monster explained. So for me, I don't need to know what this monster is. Like I don't need an explanation. I don't need to know where it comes from.
I never need to know.
You could say it's like a succubus if you want to. You know,
absolutely. That's a good pull actually.
Because we see it catch Greg. Her friend Greg, and like basically he gets screwed
like
to death.
A siren or something. Like it sort of like tricks you and then and then fucks you to death. Humps you to death.
Yeah, and I think it is. So we saw the girl at the beginning with her leg all busted. So we're like, okay, well, we know something bad happens when you get caught. You die. But I think seeing Greg's mom on him like that was like, whoa, this is what happens. And there's like fluids
and stuff like between their hands and then like her underwear and there's stuff. It's interesting. Yeah. It's like it makes you uncomfortable. Yeah. In the way that we kind of crave as horror fans, in my opinion.
Yeah. And I think it's smart though that we only see that happen once because it has a lot of impact, and then we don't need to see it again. We just know that if you get caught, and who knows too, I mean, I don't know, is this the same way this monster gets you every time? Maybe not.
Maybe Maybe Greg had a Freudian thing going on, so that's how it killed him, you know?
Maybe. Yeah. I like that.
Yeah. You know, and maybe the girl had something else going on. That's why it broke her more violently.
Yeah, maybe.
But Greg looked like he was sucked dry in a way. Like,
yeah,
his corpse looked different than hers. So I'm assuming maybe deaths are different. Yeah.
Maybe so. Maybe it is maybe it's like a Freddy Krueger thing, you know, where it's different for everybody. Yeah.
There is a Freddy Krueger vibe to this, especially when Greg gets killed. That moment of her looking outside, seeing the thing outside, and then realizing it's not Greg, it's the thing trying to get into the window. That's very much like, what's her name? Nancy looking outside and trying to wake up Johnny Depp's character. And yeah, it reminded me of that for sure. And it's got that vibe when she finally gets in the house. It's so scary. That slow-mo moment of her seeing it and what it's doing to Greg. I love the moment, too, when it gets in the house, in her house, and it breaks the window. Or whoever's house they were in at that moment, Paul's or who.
Yeah.
And there's that victim that looks like a rape victim. Like it was beaten. She was beaten and possibly raped. And she's like peeing herself. And that was just so striking for me the first time. It made me think that the demon might have been something that came from like trauma like that, like rape or like sexual abuse. And maybe that's why it does manifest through sex and like like maybe originally it might be some kind of demon that came from like someone's trauma or manifested that way. It kind of gave me that element in that one moment. I was just kind of reaching though. That first time I saw her, but that's where my mind went. I was trying to figure out what is this entity?
Yeah, because we're always trying to figure it out. The first time we see something new, it's like what do we think this is? What do we think? What do we think is going on here? So there's a couple ambiguous things I wanted to ask you about. Okay, so Jay and Greg have sex in the hospital, and then like the next scene, we see Greg like chatting it up with some girls at a table.
At the mall or something like
he
that,
definitely slept with her, right?
I think so, because it took a couple of days because then they were like, has it gotten to you? And she's like, no, I haven't seen anything. It's been like 3 days. Yeah,
and he's acting like it's all fine. And I'm like, are you going to tell them that you passed it on to somebody else? Or are you going to act like it's no big deal? So like that was a little ambiguous. And then same thing with... Because like Paul wants to sleep with Jay and is like, I'll take it. And she's like, no. And then we get that scene of her like taking her clothes off and approaching that boat. So I guess we're supposed to assume that
she gave it to those guys.
That's what I thought too. Because she was trying to buy time and she didn't want to give it to her friend.
Yep. And she was at that point just like desperate, you know. Obviously, she's going to swim out to a boat and just throw herself at these random dude bros, probably. I feel so bad for her at that moment.
Yes, me too. Like, how exhausting.
Like what you'd have to do to even save your own life.
Well, and when you think about those two things, Greg having sex with a rando and then Jay having sex with a rando, it does make you feel a tiny bit better about Hugh because at least he's like, this is what's going on instead of just...
Yeah.
Not telling her.
I don't hate him. Like, I know you should hate, like, because you don't know what's going on with him. When you watch the film for the first time, he just like chloroforms her and you don't have any idea what's going on. And it was a touching moment. He seemed okay, but obviously something was going on because there's that moment on their first date that you see where he sees somebody that's not there or she doesn't see them. I like that game they play too. And he speaks on, if I could be anybody, I'd be the kid, right? Because I could live my life again and be young again. So that speaks on the themes again of it following. And then when he points, he sees the exit and it's, over it, but nothing's there. The woman in the yellow dress. But I think his character is interesting because, he was just given it to by somebody. So he's just an innocent as well. Obviously, as a man, he definitely seems like, all right, well, maybe you deserve it. Who knows how you got yourself into this? But I definitely feel, more sorry for Jay's character because he does know what he's doing when he gives it to her. But I like that he does tell her and prepare her for it and doesn't just feed her to it because he wants her to survive. Obviously, he wants her. He probably thinks she's intelligent enough to get away with it. And because, his logic is you're a girl, it's easy to give it away to somebody.
Yeah. Because I think he's scared. I mean, and he's the only one that we see do that. Like, take the time to explain it. And we don't see anybody else do that.
I doubt Greg did that.
Oh,
he didn't believe in it anyway.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he totally didn't believe it. There's no way that because, I mean, honestly, to really bring home the seriousness of it, you would almost have to, well, I don't know if you need to tie somebody to a chair. You know, I think you could probably just hang out. He probably could have just hung out with Jay. And like when this stranger approached, then told her what was up. He probably didn't need to chloroform her and put her in a chair. But I do think that he seems like the only one who is trying to notify the next person. This is the deal. These are the rules. This is what you need to do to survive. No one else is paying that courtesy to the next person.
No.
I guess also at the end, when Paul is driving past the prostitutes,
yes,
we're supposed to believe that like he's going to pass it to them, and then hopefully they and their profession are going to pass it on to lots of people. So maybe
which could lead to the sequel.
It might, because it's they follow, right? Isn't that what it's going to be? They follow. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of smart. It's kind of smart, but it's also kind of sleazy.
Yeah. It's smart, though. I think that's the kind of guy Paul is. Paul's a little bit sleazy in a way, in a teenager sort of way. So it's like, I don't want to condemn him because he's a teenage boy and we're just dumb at that age. But he is sticking around mainly because he has a crush on Jay, and he's really desperate. You know, he's kind of, Andy might say he's got that incel energy a little bit, but yeah. But at that age, I feel like tons of guys have that kind of energy. They just have to wake up. You have to be raised properly and told like, hey, you can't be like that. But he seems like he means well.
Yeah. Well, I think he's just kind of shy, you know? Yeah. And I mean, Jay has grown up to be this like really beautiful, kind of intimidating person. And he sees her out dating other guys. And I do think it's just difficult for him to express how he feels about her.
He had his shot and he kissed her sister, it sounds like to me.
Yeah, which I don't know. I'm like, if you guys were little kids, like, I don't know. Did any of that really mean anything? But like, I'm not super excited about the two of them getting together because something about it doesn't feel great. But I do think that most of his weird energy is just because he's reserved and he's just not confident, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. He's a young guy. He's not the most popular probably. But he means well. But he likes Jay. I don't need him to be with Jay at the end either. Like they could be together as friends. Like he could be one of the survivors. You know what I mean? Like obviously he helped her through it, but you could have had that moment played out same way visually for me because I do like the ending.
Oh yeah, me too.
But I don't really need it to be like, hey, wait it out, guys, and maybe the girl of your dreams, if you stick around her long enough, she'll go for you. Like sometimes you got to let go. Teenage love teaches you that sometimes. It's not meant to be. It seems like it is when you're young because you don't know any better.
Yeah, I know. I'm always I'm always trying to give teenagers that lecture as gently as I can because nobody can tell you anything when you're that age. You got to figure it out for yourself.
I mean, and there are high school sweethearts, so who knows, you know?
Yeah, it does occasionally work out. But it goes back to the theme of this movie and becoming an adult and leaving behind childish ways. And like your parents and your elders can give you all the advice in the world. And it's really valuable to have that. But at the end of the day, you got to make your own mistakes. You got to learn
deal with it yourself.
Yep, you got to deal with it yourself. You got to learn your own lessons. I mean, arguably, you won't be a full person if you don't take risks and you don't make mistakes. You know, You got to do all of those things. So I think that's another thing that resonates about this movie is you are on this journey with these kids that are just trying to figure it out, both the entity and life. You know,
yeah. They're coming into adulthood. They're trying to find out who they are, I think, as well. Mm-hmm. And like you said, the parents aren't around, so they're doing it themselves. You know, they're getting it done. But life comes at you, much like this entity. I just love the way they frame the entity and the premise of it. So I guess this is what makes or breaks the film for some people, maybe. Like, maybe it's dumb for some people. I love the fact that you just don't know what it is sometimes. Mm-hmm. You don't know where it is. The camera does these pan-arounds when she's at the school.
I love that.
And your mind plays tricks on you because you're like, you see the same image like 5 seconds later and you're like, did anybody get closer? Did anything change? Mm-hmm. Is it there? I don't know. And you don't know how to play. How do you play that in real life if this was coming at you? Like, how do you scan a room every time you're in it? Like 1,000 times.
I also love
exhausting
when Hugh/Jeff is like do you guys see that girl right there?
Yeah.
And it literally is just a girl with a soccer
Yeah, and
ball.
they're like, calm down, bro. She's right there. That's what I mean. Jeff's just scared as anybody else, too. So
Yeah.
it's hard to hate him too much. You know, you want to at the beginning
Yeah.
because we're in Jay's seat.
That's like the one moment I think of like obvious humor. And it's right in the middle of the movie, and I that gave me a chuckle. I appreciated it.
Yeah, there is some levity, like Yar when she's like, "Oh, I had a thought," and then she farts, and she's like, "Oh, it escaped me." She's funny.
Yeah.
And that little clamshell she has, it's like an e-reader, but it's like almost looks like a like for your makeup.
Yeah, it's like a compact /
compact
e-reader.
It's interesting.
I've seen so many memes about that. People are like, we still don't have the clamshell e-reader from It Follows.
Yeah.
When are we going to get that?
Do you like the climax? Because I know a lot of people criticize that, like the pool scene, and they're like the idea of like, oh, well, we're just going to throw a bunch of electronics in there and kill it. And
You know, I was going to ask you the same thing because I like it as theoretically, like I like it as a set piece. But I don't feel like it's super successful. Maybe because I think it goes on a little bit long, and I do feel like it's a little bit of a cheat that there are electronic appliances in the pool and it's not hurting.
Well, she's
Jay.
in it's a large enough body of water that she's not gonna be electrocuted.
I guess so. I guess so. But I don't know. It's okay. It doesn't work for me great. The reason why I can forgive it is because it's not like at the end of that scene, they're like, oh, yay, we killed it. Like,
I don't think they do.
No, they don't and I don't think they do either, because I mean, that's why Jay and Paul go ahead and have sex, and Paul, we think, passes it on to someone else, because they're like, we don't, it's like they are wise in that instant to realize that like we maybe can't tackle this. Like we did the best we could, but we think it's probably coming back.
That's why the pool scene works for me in a way, because it is dumb in a way, but also they're kids. And this is their last ditch effort. They don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Yeah.
And maybe if the thing was able to get enough electronics in there, it would have been able to zap her. But I love the whole like trying to coordinate how to shoot it, and where he ends up shooting Yara by accident, Paul, unfortunately. And then like putting the cloth over it, you know, so you could actually get its image a little bit, like the silhouette, which it, you know, allows other people to see that there's a real thing here too. Like it validates it. The beach scene kind of did that too. So I love the moment though where you don't know if it's dead, and then all the blood just kind of soaks the pool.
That's a beautiful scene.
Like an ink, like ink and like water or something. It's just beautiful.
Yeah, I think to me, like the whole movie has been so subtle, you know, with just little big moments scattered throughout, that the end to me feels it's a departure from that subtlety. And it feels a little more like a cliche, you know, teenage horror movie scene.
Like Stranger Things or something.
Yeah. And I think that's why it doesn't 100% work for me. But like I said, the fact that we don't end there, we return to that subtlety and that sort of like unsure world. I think that's why ultimately it doesn't bother me too much.
Yeah. And I think that does play a little bit into that whole nostalgia of like the old horror movies that this film kind of plays into. You know, that the teenagers having the showdown with the monster at the end kind of deal. Even though as cliche as that might be why they went for it with this film too.
Yeah, I mean, it's,
that's
you know,
what they're kind of doing.
It's a cliche for a reason.
Yeah, they're taking like cliches from old horror and then modernizing them in this film and giving it like a, you know, this aimless nature of like aesthetic. So it's very interesting. I wonder what another director would have done, because I think a lot of these choices were done by the director. Is he the writer as well? I don't remember.
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah, he is. David Robert Mitchell. I haven't seen a lot of his work. I know Jacqueline wants me to watch Under the Silver Lake.
She mentioned that to me as well, and I have not watched it yet.
Yeah, which is also another film that deals with water, it sounds like. So might be a theme of his.
Okay, is there anything else that you want to talk about before we give our final thoughts?
I just, you know, one thing that this film also did for me was it really shot, what's her name? Mika Monroe. Micah Monroe, everybody says her name, into like a stardom or like into my spotlight for me to keep an eye on. And I've just seen a lot of her films, and she likes doing these genre films, horror. So I appreciate that. And she's making a living doing them. She does some good work.
Yeah, I think this is the first one I saw her in as well. So again,
Same.
I didn't recognize any of these actors when I saw this movie, and I think that really works in its favor.
Yeah. Is there a moment or a scare that got you the most, or like one of like an image that it took that kind of like was it Rat Boy?
Oh my God. I mean,
Rat
Boy is pretty creepy. No, it's the image from the beach with the busted leg, like that.
Yeah.
That image, I think, is the moment that sticks with me. Yeah.
That's like, oh shit, what does this thing do to you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Either that or when they're going out to Hugh Jeff's house and they're driving through as they're leaving like their neighborhood, the just like Detroit decay is just getting worse and worse and worse as they're going out. That scene really struck me this time because they're riding in the car. And again, you got that sort of like summer feel where the windows are down and you're in the car with your friends, but outside is just getting more and more decayed.
Yeah. And the music is like very, at that moment, like getting you cued into like this sense of dread.
Yeah. And
like
honestly, now that I'm older, I find myself, it's hard for me to pick out like, ooh, that scared me, right? In a movie. Those moments are like few and far between now that I've seen so much. But those little atmospheric things, more often than not, are things that stick with me now.
Yeah. It's the atmospheric stuff that kind of just keeps you on edge, gives you a creep. Keeps the whole film kind of creepy in a way, not just one moment. Moments that stood out to me, though, like my first watch, were like when the big guy comes through the doorway behind her friend. Yeah. Because you think, like, no, maybe it's just in her head or nobody's seeing what she's seeing.
Yeah, it feels like a nightmare.
Yeah.
It really does.
Then the guy on the roof, the naked guy on the roof when they pull away, because I felt like at that moment she knew who that was. And that was just such a flex for the entity too, to just stand there on that roof like that. Like, you can leave, but I'm coming after you. Yeah. It's weird because the entity doesn't really have any like emotion or reflection or anything. It just comes at you, but there's a moment here and there.
And like naked often. Like that's very disorienting.
That's where my mind went towards the sexual nature of it sometimes. Yeah, sometimes it's naked a lot of times. Yeah. Or in its underwear. I don't know. It's a pervert. It's a cooter, like demon.
Well, and when you see, either a stranger or one of your elders naked or in their underwear, that does not feel right.
No, like I shouldn't. That's just weird.
Yeah. Why? Vulnerable.
I want to see grandma in a thong coming at me.
No, there's something like wrong about that,
Yeah.
All right. Anything else?
No, just I'm curious about the sequel. I'm trying to be optimistic about it. It's happening. It's the same cast. Well, like I think Michael Monroe's involved and the director and writer of this as well. So I don't know. It's one of those moments where I'm like, oh, come on, I really love this film. Like, don't touch it. Just don't even do anything about it. But who knows? Maybe they'll have something to say. So
yeah, I think
they might play in on your idea.
Maybe
about the prostitutes.
Maybe.
Who knows?
Yeah. I don't know.
Anyway.
I don't think I'll see it in a theater. That'll probably be a streamer for me.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right. I'll go out there and see it for you, and I'll let you know.
Yeah. Let me know if I should, show up to a physical theater.
Because I didn't see this one in the theater, so I think I want to take advantage, just in case it hits.
Yeah.
I want to be there.
Yeah. I get it. All right. So final thoughts. I'll give mine, and then I'll kick it over to you. Like I said, I'm really glad that you chose this movie because I have wanted to revisit it for a decade. And I was initially disappointed, like I said, because it had just been hyped. And I was really, really hoping that a second viewing would make it better. And it did. Like I said, I love how atmospheric and slow burn this movie is. Just the tone of this movie is kind of right up my alley. And although I think this movie is clearly influenced by like John Carpenter and, you know, some of the older horror movies, like we've talked about, some of the tropes that we've talked about, even though it's clearly influenced by that stuff, it really is an original movie. And those are kind of few and far between, you know, when you come across a really original concept in horror, it's something special. And like I said, I appreciate that they didn't necessarily like escape the monster. They fought it. They did the best they could, but they didn't set us up for an hour that this thing is unstoppable. And then all of a sudden we just beat it. And I really like that. We're like, okay with just the survival of our characters with some ambiguity as to whether or not they're safe. So overall, this movie has a great opening. An appropriate ending, enjoyable characters, original monster. So I have to say, It Follows has won me back.
Nice.
What about you?
It's made you a follower.
Yeah, you made me a follower.
Yeah, this score, obviously, just to me, so good. I love the 80s nod. It makes me feel like I said, like I'm watching horror films as a kid again. This film does that for me. I just really love the premise, too, of the film. I think it's original. Other films have done similar things since, you know, trauma and stuff like that, being the monster. You know, that seems cliche, but when done properly or having this kind of entity, I think it's interesting. It's a different take. I enjoy it. The sense of dread that plays out with this, with the acting and the writing and then the score all in combination, just give this movie like this sense of urgency that like she's got to figure it out. She's got to get out of this cycle. Like she doesn't have a choice. It's coming for her. And the direction I thought was really good, just really good. Like this is just good horror in my opinion. It's just a great vibe. And I like the entity. I like that I don't know what it is. I don't need to know what it is. I like that it's just someone's grandmother sometimes, or just like that's not scary to everybody, but it's the unknowing of it, like not knowing where it is and what it could do and how it could get to you. It's just nerve-wracking. And it would be funny to see like a version of this though that's like in a violent nature where it's just from the It perspective of it just walking all the time.
Yes.
Yeah. And just taking other forms, trying to figure out how to trick you. Like, oh, I'll just take her grandmother. And like picking up a picture in your house, like, oh, okay. That's what her dad looks like. Okay. Yeah. Anyway. But yeah, I just think, to me, I think this is a great cast of actors and some younger ones that kind of I've seen Yara, the actress who plays Yara. I've seen her in things.
Yeah.
And I really like Michael Monroe. I follow her a lot in anything she's in. I think they all nail their parts though, and the characters are pretty good. They're kind of archetypes that we're used to, but it works for this film. That's what this film's about though. You know, it's like the kid group and teenagers getting it done, you know, by themselves because the adults are not really in the forefront. I like that there's this weird nature of we don't know what date it is. We don't know what time it is. We don't know what season it is. We don't really know anything. Just the main story. And that's enough for me. It drives the film. And I've watched this film several times and it just never gets boring. You pick up more too. The other characters, like some cons maybe, the other characters besides Jay just don't really do much besides just be supporting characters. You know, but you know, that's fine. They do it really well. And I like what they do. I like Yara. I would like to see more about Yara. I like her home life. I would have liked to, you don't meet parents, but I would like to meet Yara's parents.
Yeah. She's definitely like the cool girl of the group, you know?
The edgy one.
Yeah.
Actually, they're all a little, like Michelle seems edgy too. I think Michelle was a sister. Yeah. I liked her too. She smoked cigarettes. But yeah, just the whole group of it felt believable. Like the sisters and the girls, you know, and even having the clingy kid who just has a crush on you, kind of the guy trying to be friends with all the girls, you know, in that way. That seems believable too. He's just like less likable. The climax isn't as solidly constructed, I think, as the rest of the film. Like it does sort of veer off a little bit. The tone changes right there. I like building up to it though. And I do like it at the end of the day. But it's a valid complaint that I can see some people having. I don't really care though. This film is phenomenal to me and I just love it. And that's why I picked it for your show.
Awesome. So if people like It Follows, what would you recommend that they check out?
Just offhand, I had a couple. I figured Smile and Smile 2, actually. I like Smile 2 better. But, I'd probably recommend watching the first one first.
I haven't seen Smile 2, but I've heard pretty unanimously people liked it better than the first one.
I did. I thought it does what the first one tried better. And it kind of came into its own a little bit more with the premise, because it is a little bit borrowing from this. Or I even mentioned one of my recommendations would be The Ring. This is an older film. But if you want a film where like there's a time frame to get something done and a sense of dread that builds because you need the time, you have to get it done. You're being plagued by something or haunted by something, and you're trying to investigate things at the same time. So both those films do that. And just another one that's like similar in tone but not Hereditary, I would say, is just like an interesting film that sort of has a sense of dread and a build-up. It's a slower burn than this. And
where
it's
you're
not,
just kind
it's
of
not
like
the same, but
you're sort of like fated to like a dreadful end, and it's not your fault. Yeah.
And it plays with family and some other things that are interesting to me. That they're not really that linked, but it was just one. And The Babadook, probably I could say, because not that it's related to this film in tone, but it's a film that I watched after this. That I think if you haven't seen these films, you could start from there.
Yeah. Also about death.
Yeah.
In a different way. Well, more about grief, I guess, than death. Grief. But they're two sides of the same coin, I think, maybe.
But an entity, nonetheless. I like things with entities in them, actually.
Yeah, you like an unnamed entity.
Yeah. What about you? Does anything jump out to you?
Yeah, I had a few. I would say The Guest is a good one. Also starring Micah Monroe. Same time period, maybe the same year.
It's a good movie.
But it's not straight horror. It's like action. It's more of an action thriller with a little horror thrown in. But you have that same sort of like 80s synthy vibe. And Micah Monroe is also really good in that movie. Nightmare on Elm Street. This movie is a spiritual cousin to Nightmare on Elm Street. You've got these kids trying to survive this supernatural stalker that no one can see. And it's just fun watching that group of friends. The Blair Witch Project, another classic, because you're being pursued by an unknown monster that you never really see. And also, again, you are left again with an ambiguous ending. You're not really sure where you are or what is happening. A lot of people hate the end of Blair Witch. I think it's one of the great all-time horror endings for me.
I think it's great, and that's why most people don't like it, because it doesn't give you what you want necessarily, but it gives you what you need, what the film needs.
And it's appropriate for that. At the time, we believed that was actual found footage. Yeah. So that is like, if you actually did find a bunch of videotapes in the woods, there wouldn't be some like magic ending. It would just be abrupt, And then my last recommendation is for a TV show, actually, a series called Channel Zero. Yes. And specifically the No End House season. Okay. I think that it is very similar in tone to this movie. And again, we're dealing with some like family trauma, some death, you're trapped and you can't get out. So there's a lot of similar stuff going on. And I actually was wondering if Nick Antosca, who's the creator of Channel Zero, was like, I wonder if he worked on It Follows. And he did not, but he did say that It Follows was a huge inspiration on Channel Zero. And I can definitely see it. So
I highly recommend Channel Zero. I've watched them all at least once, and they're very good.
And
eerie.
My listeners have heard me go on and on about Channel Zero because it's one of my favorite things from horror in the last decade. I was
bummed when it got canceled.
Me too. Yep. So who knows? In this day and age, maybe someone will revive it and we'll get another season. But yeah, each season was very weird, and you could tell that the visuals were like practical. And speaking of, also the actress that plays Yara, she is in season 3, Butcher's Block. And she's great in that season.
That's right. I was just going to mention Rutger Hauer is in that, and he's phenomenal. He
really is.
He's got some great dialogue in that season.
Yeah. So those are my recommendations. So Hydraberg, thanks again for coming on. And you have a second show. Do you want to plug your second show?
Yeah, sure. I have Cinemigos. It's a you can find it on all the podcatchers, or you can find A Cut Above as well. It's a show that I do with Rob, myself and Rob, and we've had our third co-host has been like a little bit of a revolving co-host. We've had John on for about 53 episodes, our first 53 episodes, and then we had 2 p.m. Todd on for about 10 or 12 episodes, and now we have Matt as our third co-host. But it's a movie recommendation show where at least one of us hasn't seen the film, and we take turns each week hosting. So one week I'll present a film and I'll host it, and at least one of them hasn't seen it. So we have a new, like, fresh set of eyes on the film each week, and we're expanding each other's cinematic horizons as Cinemigos.
I love it.
Becoming friends through cinema.
So check out A Cut Above. Check out Cinemigos. And thanks again for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. It's an honor.
And as for me, next month, we're sort of like soft launching spooky season. So September's episode is going to be Tower of Terror, the Disney movie from the 90s. And it's so juice pick. So Justin from Straight Chilling is going to be on.
He wishes.
I've had Bob. I've had Andy. Justin's never been on my show, I don't think.
Wow. But you've been on Creature Comforts before.
Yes. Yeah. So we've done shows together, but he has never been on. Well, he was on my Candyman series like forever ago.
Oh, yes, that's right.
Yeah, but that's been, years at this point. So
Candyman.
Next month, Tower of Terror with Justin. So folks, in the meantime, be careful who you sleep with and stay spooky.